Hey y'all, I will be in just a second when these little things keep quit coming on. Hey y'all, good afternoon. And I started reviewing this show, doing this video earlier, but I had to stop because I did figure out that it wasn't catching up with me talking and stuff like that. So I'm back, okay? And I'm not gonna be on camera because I just told my boyfriend that I can't be on camera for this because I mean he saw how I was crying and all this stuff, and I'm just a person where I just don't like stuff like this, what I'm about to talk about. And it takes me a minute to talk about it. But I hope y'all have heard of the situation of Daniel Hernandez in Los Angeles, California, 9-year old young man that was unalived by both his mother and his mother's boyfriend. So we're getting into it now. And his name, the boyfriend of the mother, is Rue. It's Rue, and then her name is Pearl. Okay, so it starts with a couple of 911 calls. First, the boyfriend called, and he said that he fell. And then second, she called and she said that he's not breathing. He's not breathing. I just need someone here. He's not breathing. My son is not breathing. I'm like, okay, okay. So it snowballs to when Miss Christine Estelle, Estes, and she's a RN, registered nurse, and she's a registered trauma nurse. And when the responders came out, then she was a part of it once he came to the hospital. But beforehand, they were trying to, of course, resuscitate him. And I mean, because he was just there and he wasn't breathing, no response, no nothing. And they're because this is a baby, y'all. This is a baby. And of course, I mean, not just saying that it's a baby, but kids are a little bit more important in my mind. And an older adult, a senior citizen, they're more important in the means of they're more vulnerable. Okay. So that's what I meant. And once they were able to resuscitate him and put him in the gurney in the EMT. They were able to put him in the I'm sorry, y'all. They were able to put him in the van so that he could go to get immediate response. And it was a lot of codes that they were throwing, and they were saying this is a such and such code, this is such and such code. And then once they did get to the hospital, the registered nurse, Miss Christine, she said that it was very, very fishy, and the whole story that was told did not make sense. And it didn't. It did not. So EMS personnel, she was able to, like I said, she was able to get his pulse back when he arrives at the hospital. And once they moved him off of the stretcher, they worked to get his pulse back again because he was just losing conscious and coming back, losing conscious and coming back, losing conscious and coming back. So once they were able to get him, his pulse back, then he continued, like I said, he continued to lose his pulse. And then he he just, poor baby. Okay, I'm sorry, y'all. He had hemophobia. And that's the first thing that the RN nurse said, that he was very cold to the touch. and they were trying to work all the warming measures, and all of them were applied. And with him having hemoglobin, he was super, it was super low, and he needed blood instantly. And they went ahead and they coded, and it was coded again in a CAT scan, and he lost his pulse again. So the staff resuscitated him again, got him back to a room so that he could be seen and monitored very closely. Okay. And once they got him back to the room, then the ambulance chart nurse, she took notes of everything that is happening. And everyone was busy and all working on, getting him the care that he needed, and all the care that he needed, and all of the medical, record charts that, talked. And she talked about, and this is the RN nurse now. She talked about how the throat looked like he had been burned and bruised, cuts all over his face, all over his body, black eyes, and foot lacerations, and then bullets in his lung, ankle marks, everything all over him that you can think of. And that's why I said, when I was seeing all of this, I said, how could somebody, anybody, do something like this to a child? Just anybody, but let alone an innocent child. Okay. And then they also was, it was a lot of marks above his genitals. And it's like, how did it happen? I mean, I just want to know, how did it happen? And the 911 call said that he slipped in the bathroom. And I'm just thinking, and I was like, the trauma nurse, Miss Estate, Miss Estes, I'm just call her that. I think that's how you say it. She was floored just like I was. And I said, how could this happen? How could this happen? And it was determined that young Daniel, he was, he was immediately taken to the children's hospital, and he had a pulse. And the trauma nurse, which is Christine, said that Daniel has never known love or ever been hugged or anything, because that's just evident. And then she also says that she celebrates his birthday with her family still to this day. And then we getting out the hospital, and we finna get to these goddamn folks in Los Angeles. Los Angeles, Cali. Garrett Theroff. He was a former Los Angeles Times reporter, and Gabriel had been beaten. He had been raised by his uncle and his uncle's partner, which was not bad. It didn't turn bad until a little second. Just keep listening. And then around the age of 3, he went to his grandparents. Then 6 months until he passed, he went under the care of his mother and her boyfriend. And Daniel made the web. And that's what they were saying at the the Los Angeles Times. They were saying that, I know the manager of the reporter, Mr. Garrett, he said that Daniel made the web, but he did not make the paper, unfortunately. And then what he was saying is, he said the reason why is because it was so many murders, so many cases, just so many cases just coming in back to back to back to back to back to back. So he said that he made the web, but he didn't make the newspaper. And I said, that's just crazy. And he didn't make the paper until the board of superiors picked up the case. Uh-huh. And then May 24th, 2013. Department of Children and Family Services had a huge hand in the case for Gabriel. Mm-hmm. Sure did. And they were suspected of making a lot of errors. And in the Department of DCFS, they were often left out and they made a huge error, and then the curtain had been ripped from lifting from under them. So pretty much what they was doing is they was hanging up covering stuff up, and they wasn't reporting stuff. Okay. And then an unidentified source wanted to speak with the reporter at a hotel. And he was close in, he was close in to where he couldn't show his face. And he just didn't want to, because he was still working for them and he didn't want to lose his job. Rightfully so, but it still needed to be out. And it was just great that he wanted to talk. Okay. So the county is under a huge amount of scrutiny. A former worker for the county says that he was in a position that allowed him access to sensitive matters that might pose political concerns, right? And then he says that some years ago, the county initiated procedures to investigate this case internally, correct? All right. And they didn't. And it's like a whole thing of, from what I got and from what I understood, they just didn't handle this case right. And it was a lot of stuff. It was a lot of stuff that happened in this case. And it could have been, stopped. And it could have been prevented. And it was just, it was just a lot. And then what happened is they got those caseworkers, and I definitely said as soon as I watched this story that they need to get the caseworkers, because they the ones who wasn't reporting the stuff. That was conveniently just looking over every single thing. And again, I've been offered not a child, a job with the Department of Children and Family Services. I have been offered that position 3 times. And I have stopped and I said, it pay good money, but I don't have the heart to just sit and just listen and look at stuff. And you have to really, really you have to investigate this stuff. And then you have to go to the homes and stuff. It's dangerous to the worker and it's dangerous to the child. And I just always said that I never would want to be a person that knows what's going on and can't do anything about it and just risk. I mean, because where I live, I mean, I'm pretty sure it's a bunch of kids here. It's just a bunch of everything. And I just didn't have the heart and I just couldn't do it. And I said, I just know how I am, because this case really did hurt my feelings. And I'm just thinking, like, how could somebody, I don't understand. I don't understand. And it's like you have to have resources. And if you don't have the right resources, then the same stuff is gonna happen. Stuff gonna get swept under the rug like this. Okay. And when they finally got the caseworkers 8 months later. Uh-huh. And Stephanie Rodriguez and Patricia Clint and Kevin Boone and Gregory Merritt. And this is the trial for those social workers. And the second part of this series, they go on the trial. And they gonna put them caseworkers on trial, and I sure want to see what happened. And then the parents, the mama, she going to trial too. And I did know, and I did hear that they were auctioning for her to be, them both to be, put down, executed. hmm And then they did. Lastly, I did take a note for a particular detective, and his name was Detective Elliot. And then when he did go in, and he did actually interview both of them, but I just honed in on what he said and when he interviewed the boyfriend. And then he asked him, he said, okay, now this was a detective. He said, okay, so you hit him in the front of the face. And then I've never seen, he said, I've never seen, I don't understand. I just have never seen nothing like this. And he was just talking about how he hit him in the front of the face. And then he also said that the mom would hit him with her fist or her hand too. So that stupid ass man was just beating on Gabriel. And the woman was too, and she wasn't doing nothing. She was joining in on it. And I'm just thinking, like, excuse me, ma'am. No, ma'am. And it's a special, special place in hell for people that do that. Because I just don't be for stuff like that. Never have been, never will be. And I can guarantee y'all that I will have the second part by the end of today. So I can tell y'all what's going on in that court case. Because they're gonna go to court. The main her name is Pearl, and that damn boyfriend of hers, he going to court too. But they got to get the caseworkers first, because you better goddamn believe that something needs to happen to them, because they just as much to blame as the damn mama. Okay, and that was my video for this case for Sweet Daniel. Sweet Daniel. He was such a sweet baby. I know for a fact he was. And I got another picture that I want to show y'all. So he was sweet and all this. And then this is the last picture. And then, I mean, I don't know, y'all. And I want y'all to just like, comment, and subscribe to this channel. And if you have Netflix, please, please, please watch this case. It's gonna break your heart because it broke my heart. But just please watch the case, and please, please, please get the awareness out, because that's what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to get the awareness out, Jazzy fam. So if you do anything, just please take a look at the documentary that's on Netflix. And I'm gonna give y'all as much as I can give y'all to give y'all the basis of the points and all that stuff. But at the end of the day, y'all, I want y'all to have a blessed rest of your day. Okay. And make sure you love on each other and hug on each other. And y'all have a blessed day. And subscribe to my channel to become a member so you can join the Jazzy Fam gang. Bye. Have a good one.